This video is brought to you by the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. Go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd. My people, hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my review of the Prodigy A2. This one is in the 350G plastic. We also tested a 400 plastic and a 500 plastic A2 out there. We're going to be showing you flight footage for all three of those different variations, so stay tuned for that. Big thank you to a friend of the channel, William Freeman, for sending me this disc. He also sent me an A3 that has actually gone into my bag. I'm absolutely loving. I'll show you in a little while and compare it to this one. But he sent me this and the A3. He also sent me a Piwaka Waka to mess around with. So I appreciate that very much. It's always appreciated to get hooked up with some plastic that I needed and wanted to review and use for other videos. I also have a video in the works that I kind of had in mind when I got these that I'm trying to put together relatively soon, showing off just a ton of different options in the overstable approach disc kind of arena, because it's such a crucial disc for me. So I got a zone, I got a tactic, I got Cenis, of course my beloved Caltrop. Be showing you off this A3 in just a minute as well. And I have other stuff too. I forget what else I have. Yeah, I have a pig, all kinds of different options. So I'm going to be putting together a video showing off all those different types of discs and kind of comparing them and showing off some different flight footage. I also got harps, AVR X3, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a huge overview video showing off all kinds of different approach discs, but I'll also have individual reviews for everything in the playlist as well. So lots of stuff to check out, lots of content to make over the summer, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in that sort of thing, and keep an eye out. Also, big shout out to my retail sponsor, Infinite Discs. If you use my code DiscGolfNerd at checkout, you will get yourself a small discount, and part of the proceeds of those sales will come back to me and the channel to help support us financially, help us continue to produce this content, bring in the plastic that we need and the other gear to keep making these videos for you guys. So if you need anything, check out that code, head over to Infinite. They have like 45,000 discs in stock right now, and of course bags and all that too. So go check them out, tell them I sent you with the code, and let's get into the review finally of the A2 in 350G plastic. So we tested this one. We tested a white 350G that Anthony has. It's a slightly more dome top, and it is more grippy, a little more rubbery feel. This one's got more of like a kind of chalky feel, almost reminds me more of like a maybe like a Gateway kind of feel to the plastic, kind of like a Wizard plastic or something like that. Feels nice though, for sure. This one has just a real slight dome to it. It's not board flat. The 500 plastic one that we tested and the 400 plastic, those were definitely flatter and more overstable, but I'm going to be showing you all four of those different plastics and individual discs in the flight footage, so keep an eye out for that. I'll do my best to keep it all straight in terms of putting actual little icons on the screen so you know which one we're throwing in that particular clip, because we did have the opportunity to test multiple plastics for the A2 and the A3, since I was able to bring in my good buddy Anthony Davis to hook me up, help me out, and do some filming and testing, and also let us use some of his plastic to represent these molds in flight. So I appreciate that very much. Awesome to have Ant on the channel. Finally, it's been a while that we've been really close, and I haven't actually brought him in for any reviews yet. 350G plastic A2 approach disc, PDJ approved, made in the USA, all that kind of good stuff. So if we're looking at the bottom here, there's a little bit of molded in lettering as well that just says ProdigyDiscs.com. You'll also see this one in particular has some wear on it already. It's got some little nicks and scuffs on the underside rim. That's kind of how it came to us. So this is definitely going to be more of the kind of less durable plastic in the lineup. A 500 or 400 plastic is going to last a lot longer without breaking in. This one's still quite overstable though. It's not like crazy overstable, but more so than the 400 plastic A3. Speaking of which, let's bring in some other options to take a look at it next to. First of all, we have this A3. I am bagging this one. This is a 400 plastic flat A3 that William sent me as well. This one just feels so good in the hand for forehands, and I'm just loving this disc. It is so good, man. I'm throwing so many good shots with it, and it's definitely something that's going to stick around. I'm trying to find a couple more of these, to be honest, but let's put it up next to the A2. It's tough to keep all these straight sometimes with the Prodigy disc names. I've never really been a big fan of the system. I think it was a little, short-sighted perhaps. They didn't really think long-term when they came up with their naming scheme. But, I mean, it works. You can figure it out. It's just with the numbers of the plastic types, 400, 350G, 500, 750, A2, A3, A4, it just starts to get a little bit tricky and confusing for some folks, myself included. You guys know I geek out on plastic about as hard as anybody, and I still will occasionally just kind of say the wrong thing. Like, even when we were filming, I would hold up the one disc and be like, oh, this is A2, and it was A3, and just kind of get confused sometimes. So let's move the A3 aside. A3, not quite as overstable in general, although I will say the 750 A3 that you'll see in that A3 review coming in the next few weeks or so, the 750 one's stiffer, flat, and pretty much just as overstable as the A2s. So they do kind of start to overlap. So if you like the feel of one or the other, you can kind of use the plastic blends to get the stability you want, whether it's an A2 or an A3, in my experience, based on our testing of a bunch of these discs during this process. Here is a Exo Hard Tactic. Definitely deeper, slower. As you can see there, the A2 and the A3 are both pretty shallow and kind of a little bit more leaning towards mid-ranges, I would say, than some of these other options, certainly over like my Caltrup or something. And let's, since I have it here, let's also go ahead and put it up next to a zone. Why not? This is the old school ESP zone. These are the good ones. These are the ones that I would probably end up bagging if I was going to look for a zone for the bag. And you can see there again, the zone definitely got a slower shape to it, a little bit more smooth shape, not as defined of the front edge there. It's kind of like squared and defined. The zone just feels a little smoother in the hand overall. Between the two, I will say I definitely prefer the A3 in terms of the flight and the feel, but the A2 gets real beefy in those premium plastics. So if you're looking for a more overstable approach disc or forehands and anything you need that really aggressive fade on, definitely want to look into the 400 and the 500 plastic and the more premium plastics for the A2 to bring in that stability. So let's take a look at some more flight footage here. Anthony helping us out, as I said. So we tested. Let me go back and read my show notes here so I know what I'm talking about. We tested the 400 A2 is the red sparkle plastic one that you're going to see. We also tested the blue, kind of teal blue 500 plastic A2. Those are the two most overstable by far, and then the two 350Gs, they flew about the same, but they did have a pretty noticeable difference in feel. So this one that I have here that you've been seeing the whole time, definitely a little chalkier. The white one that Anthony had was a little bit more of a rubbery feel to the plastic, a little more grip, slightly more dome, but similar flights. Overall, the A2 was extremely easy to get used to throwing for me. Regardless of the plastic type, I knew what they were going to do. They're all overstable to some degree, for sure, but you're going to get more of an aggressive overstability out of the more premium plastics like the 500. The 500 and the 400 are definitely the ones I would prefer if I was going to carry them, just for the extra stability, the extra durability. I like the feel of those plastics a little bit better. This is probably the kind of plastic you want to have if you want to break one in. If you want to have one in your bag that you can break in and start to get it to hold up to flat before it starts to fade and stuff like that, that's definitely what you're going to want to use. The 350 or like a 300 plastic is a similar durability level for the A2 from what I understand. So if you're looking for ones to be really overstable, you're definitely going to want to look for the more premium plastics. I would imagine the 750 plastic A2s are probably super beefy, if it does correlate like it does for the A3s. The A3, the 400 plastic one, seems to be the one that's less overstable. 500, not terribly different. It's somewhere pretty close to it for sure. And also, you know, you have to factor in that all of these discs were thrown. They're all throwers, so they all have various levels of wear on them and stuff. But the flat top 750 plastic A3 was very overstable in comparison to the 400. So I think that would probably correlate to the A2 mold as well. So all in all, it's a really solid disc that you guys know what it's going to do. The overstable approach disc, one of the most crucial discs in your bag, and part of why I want to put together this video showing off all these different options that I'm trying to put kind of amass to show off all at once, is because you guys need to find your go-to overstable approach disc for your bag. It's so crucial. It's such an important disc, especially when you are balanced and can throw forehand and backhand. I can do so much stuff with that A3 that I've been throwing. Forehand shots, forehand turnovers, forehand flexes, and it flies awesome on backhands. I can power into it and know that it's not going to flip. So having that disc that you can throw hard, you know it won't flip, you know it's not likely to go too far past the basket, and you know you can depend on the fade to get you to drop and dig in near the basket on those approach shots, and that it can handle the torque of like a turnover forehand and stuff. It's just a must-have disc in every serious player's bag from my perspective. There's a million different ways to go about it, from a pig to a zone, a sinus, tactic, all the different things that we showed you earlier and that I referenced in this video. So it really kind of comes down to how overstable you want it to be and what you want the feel to be. So if you're looking for more of a low profile, more of a mid-range type feel, and you want the Prodigy plastic blends that are available in this disc, I would definitely look into the A2. It does have a little bit more of a shallow, a little bit quicker feel to it than something that's much slower like a Caltrop would, or like a Sinus or something along those lines. So I think that's all I got for you. I think that's my review on the Prodigy 350G A2, with also footage of the 400 and the 500. Hopefully you guys liked seeing extra different plastic blends. I'll try to do that for you going forward whenever possible. Thank you once again to William for sending over this plastic to test and have here in the stock to be able to make this content for you guys. I really appreciate it very much. Once again, use my code at infinitediscs.com if you want to help support the channel, and you can always check me out on Patreon. My Patreon support team is just amazing, and they keep having my back, and he keep helping us pay the bills around here, and I really appreciate them as well. So thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all very soon. Cheers.